Definitely. Thank you so much. Samson Kasumba is coming to you live from Gulu. The debate on the FDC is one that is interesting the entire country, but also particularly the north of the country and the east part of the country. Looking back at 2016, 2011, 2006, the numbers of members of parliament that the FDC did send to parliament. And talking to us this evening is the former member of parliament for Gulu Municipality, Honorable Leandro Komakeje, governor expert, but also a visiting fellow in the London School of Economics, joining me this evening. Let's start from here, Honorable Leandro. Yes, Honorable Nandala Mafabi, Patrick Oboya Muriat, now heading for the flag bearer seat for the FDC. What does this mean for the FDC? But again, if you look at what is now already happening in the FDC, does this break the party more?
Yes, good evening, viewers globally and locally, and good evening, Ben. I think my take for the Forum for Democratic Change is quite clear. The rules of the game is written in the constitution, and of course, based also on Uganda's political organizations and parties act. I think it states clearly that every 5 years we renew leadership of different political parties. And I believe, and I'm convinced, if this is true to the letter, it should then indicate that the FDC political process for electing their new flag bearers should be a normal process and should not depict a do-or-die situation, because if we believe in democratic growth in this country, where we have actually had a lot of insufficient supply for democracy, or what I call democratic deficit, then FDC should demonstrate to us, should mentor the party. The party is young, and therefore it should demonstrate that this is a normalcy. It comes in a frequency of 5 years, and therefore we should get it going through normally.
I mean, Honorable Leandro, you're looking at Patrick Oboya Muriat and also Nandala Mafabi being very close. Even when they're fighting the other faction, they've been really very close. What could I push the two to? Is it democracy? Is it something that we are going to see another emerging friction and gap between these two that will emerge into the party?
Well, I think this depends on their visions, because to be in a leadership position at that level to run the country, it presupposes that you must have a vision that you believe you can sell to the party, and eventually you can sell to Ugandans. And this should not in any way distort their close relationship. But if they take it in a very crude way, then the frictions will cause fire. But I strongly believe Nandala, who is a very rigorous legislator in Parliament for a long time, and with a proven record of work really at a technical level. He's a superb financial expert, and Patrick is as well, very grounded engineer, and someone who looks positively for the future. I believe both of them, with the party leadership, should create a common denominator that should solve the problem.
And picking from there, again, I want to pick your mind from there. Should FDC be prioritizing this now? What should be the priority of FDC? Again, the question of reconciliation, people have been pushing. Why don't you work with the other faction? Why don't you bring people back? Should this be the priority now?
Well, because it is mandatory that we have elections, internal democratic processes, but I think these internal democratic processes should also be exploited positively to create the environment for reconciliation. But I believe if they are really up to reconciliation, then they should be looking at politics of consensus. It would actually bring all the members closer together instead of breaking them apart. But if they decide to disagree in a manner which is bad, then that means that the disagreement turns into being disagreeable, but at the end it will cause another split. And of course we cannot continue factorizing these processes until you remain alone.
Lastly.
Yes.
Just picking you lastly in 30 seconds, between the two now that have shown interest for the flag bearer, who would you go with? You've been with Honorable Nandala Mafabi in Parliament before. Boya Muriat has been in Parliament. Who would you think will push the FDC forward?
Well, I cannot choose any of them, because that is an internal democratic process of that party, let the party members critically analyze the two candidates with a bit of maturity and a bit of foresightedness. If the two, they can get one out of it without any negative consequences, then that be it. Because that would be a good example to the whole country. We should be moving toward politics of consensus in Uganda in terms of our body politics, because we have seen from various political parties, and in a bigger space of Uganda, we need to actually review the state of politics. Look at East Africa, we are all in disarray. So these are challenges at an internal level and external level should teach us a lesson. The coming election should be our litmus test on how far we have moved with democracy in this country. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Honorable Leandro, for speaking to us this evening. We definitely appreciate your time. Samson, the election of the FDC is something that the entire country, as I said earlier on, but the north of the country and the east of the country is keenly looking at it. Because if you look at the numbers of members of parliament from the east and the west who comes from the FDC is quite many. Also, if you look at the different factions from PFF now, many of the members of parliament who were in the FDC have chosen to be in the regional FDC. So the question of who will lead that party and who will strategize for the party going to 2026 is an interesting debate for the many in this part of the country. Back to you, Samson, at the Political Command Center.
Lalita, I just want you to know that I miss the responsibility and cleanness of Gulu City.